Should government compensate you for devalued property regulations? Imagine waking up one morning and finding your property suddenly worth less because of new rules. It might seem unfair, right? This question about whether the government should pay you when regulations lower your property's value is a hot topic. Let's look at the facts to understand what's at stake here. Property rights are a core part of conservative beliefs. They see owning property as a fundamental freedom and a way to secure personal liberty. The Fifth Amendment to the United States Constitution says that the government cannot take private property without paying just compensation. This means if the government physically takes your land or makes it unusable, they have to pay you for it. Republicans argue that when regulations restrict how you can use your land, it's like a de facto taking. If new rules prevent you from building or developing your property value drops. That's a real economic loss. They believe you should be compensated because you didn't cause the regulation, and it harms your investment. The idea is simple. If society decides certain land uses are no longer allowed, then society should bear the cost. If not, property owners are unfairly left to shoulder the burden of public policy. This prevents the government from over-regulating without considering the economic impact on individuals. Republicans also see this as a matter of fairness. If the government can impose restrictions that reduce your property's worth without paying, it makes property ownership conditional on government approval. That's not what property rights are about. They're about owning and using your land freely within the law. In real life, this issue comes up often. For example, some states have laws limiting local governments from creating new building restrictions. Some conservatives support these laws to protect property owners' rights. Others worry that local control is important and oppose federal interference. Zoning laws are another example. They can prevent property owners from turning their land into a business. If a homeowner owns land that could be used for a store or office but can't because of local rules, they lose potential income. From a conservative point of view, either the regulation should be changed or the owner should get paid for the lost opportunity. Property rights are also protected through federalism. The 10th Amendment says states have the power to make their own laws about land use. But the 5th Amendment's requirement for compensation applies at all levels of government. Some conservatives want stronger federal protections to stop states or cities from overregulating without paying. Economically, requiring compensation can influence how land is developed. When owners know they will be paid for restrictions, they might accept reasonable rules more easily. Without that, they often fight regulations, which can slow down development and create uncertainty. Of course, paying compensation isn't simple. How do you decide what's fair? Should it be the full value lost or a partial amount? And paying out for every regulation that reduces value could cost governments a lot of money. That's a real challenge. Right now, the Fifth Amendment says compensation is only necessary when the government physically takes property or makes it unusable. Many regulations that reduce value but still allow some use do not requiring payment. Some conservatives think this interpretation is too narrow and should be expanded. In the end, most conservatives agree that property owners should not be left to suffer without compensation when regulations hurt their property. They believe property rights are a key part of personal freedom and economic growth. But they also recognize practical limits, like how to fairly determine compensation and how to keep costs manageable for government. So, the answer from a conservative perspective is generally yes. Property owners should be compensated for devalued property caused by regulations. But it's not a simple yes or no. It's about balancing property rights, fairness, and practical realities. Protecting property rights means making sure owners are not unfairly burdened when public policies restrict their use of land.